Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this really quick tutorial by edgistir.com. So what we're going to look at today is the tools available for changing changing the characters in Photoshop. So let's get started. So we're going to open up the character window, which is under window and character, and immediately you see a couple of different dialogues. So the first two are the font and font type. So I'm going to pick Helvetica, and you can see here that you can play around and have loads of different styles like italic or bold, or I want to go back to condensed bold. And they're pretty simple stuff. That's stuff you can probably do in any piece of software, changing the font and font style. Now what we're going to do next is take a look at points, the point system, which is essentially how big or small the font actually is, like the type. We're going to hit that back to 430 and leave it at that. The next one is interesting. The next one is called leading. Leading is the space between two pieces of text. So if we take if we go into this bottom one, and I like typography because it looks nice. Now if we select all of this text and we change the leading, we'll change it from auto to say 48. You can see that this text has jumped all the way up right next to the top line. So by adjusting the leading, we can change how far away from the top line it is. Sometimes you want to have it really spaced out, which you can do, or you can, well, put it closer together. The next one after that is something called kerning. Now kerning is the space between two separate letters. So here we have the double L, and we're going to put those together and further apart. But you see the answer, you see the gist. That's what essentially what kerning is, the space between the two letters. Then you can change the kerning between all of the letters. So if you want to bunch them all up together, let's do that. And you see what's happened there with the hello? It was like this, and then by changing the kerning of all the letters, we've put them back together. We've put them closer together. The one after that, which is the horizontal and vertical scales. Now this is basically making things taller or, either taller or shorter or fatter and skinnier, like so. So I'll show you the fatter and skinnier. Now the next one down from that is adjusting base point. Now what this does, baseline. What this does is when you have, you see that little dot there. Let's have a look at that little dot. That's where your text is starting off from. So say if you line this text up with, I don't know, say if you line it up with the start of that H, and you say okay, but it's a little bit too close. And now obviously you could move the text, but adjusting the baseline shift will mean that you can just quickly do this, and wherever you move it to, it'll be adjusted. So you have the typing starts from a little bit higher up from where it would have originally started from. We'll drop that back down to 0. The next one after that is color, which is pretty simple. You just change the color of the text. There's not much else going on there. The next few little icons afterwards are quite interesting. So the first two are bold and italic, which you know and love from loads of different software. Then the one after that is all caps, turning every single letter into capitals. The one after that is small caps, where the lowercase letters are turned into smaller capitals. So like this, where the I is still a capital, but all of the small case letters are now turned into smaller capitals. Then you have things like this, which is superscript. Superscript is great for if you want to add, say, a reference or a source. You see what it's done? It's just put the text a little bit higher up. And that's great for things like references, or if you want to do, I don't know, 2 to the power of 4. and things like that. So superscript is used in loads of different scenarios. And then you have subscript, which is also used in different scenarios. So say if we had a chemistry formula or chemical formula, we would want to make the 2 a subscript so that there's 2 carbons, and we'd want to make the 6 a subscript as well, so that we have 6 carbons. And that's essentially what that does. Just changes the baselines from the same as that, and then changes also the font size, so it's a bit more so it's more readable as superscript and subscript. The two icons after the superscript and subscript are underlining, which is pretty simple and easy to understand. A line appears, and strike through, which makes a line appear through the entire text, like so. And then afterwards we have this little button over here, which is ligatures. I mean, like, it's pretty simple and easy to understand if you Google it. I'm not going to go through that because this is meant to be a really quick tutorial, so we'll skip these little buttons here. But the ones after that is the kind of the dictionary that you want to use for when you're typing up. So I'm going to use English UK because I'm from the UK. The one after that is the anti-aliasing settings. So if you put in none, if we really zoom in, so with none you can see it's quite jagged. Whereas if you change this to sharp, you can see it's now really smooth, crisp, a little bit smoother. And you're basically adjusting the amount of anti-aliasing on the type. It just gives it a much more nicer and cleaner look. So let's do that with the rest. And that's pretty much it for the little character window. But what we're going to do now quickly is show you paragraphs and the paragraph window. So if we go to window and paragraph, you can see here like all of the normal stuff. So aligning to the center or to the right as usual, and then this is quite cool. So you change these to position the text away from the baseline again, or the indent. So that little dot there is where you're starting from, and you move it up and down depending on how far away from the dot you want your text. Pretty much all of this stuff is all the same. You can also adjust the hold on. You can also adjust the indent that you get when you're starting in the first line. So if we hit that up, I can show you here. The first line changes, because in some pieces of text you do want to have an indent in the first piece of text, and in a lot of books they do this, but we're going to change that back to normal. And spacing before and after the paragraph. The hyphenate is so that say if we, let me show you quickly. Say if we created a text box, so using the type tool, and we'll type in hello, this tutorial. You see what's happened? That tutorial's split up. So if we hit hyphenate, it automatically puts in a hyphen for the bits where the words have been split up. And that's pretty much it in terms of this tutorial. I hope you learn a few things about how to change the text and the typography using Photoshop. These windows and these characteristics are very similar in all of the Adobe products. So in InDesign, in Illustrator, in After Effects, they all have these sort of settings that you can play around with in terms of paragraph and character styles. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Please make sure you visit Eduster.com for more tutorials on Photoshop and Illustrator, and loads of other different resources for development in general. Thanks guys, and I'll see you guys next time.